Good evening to everyone. If I could help somebody as I travel along, then my living shall not be in vain. 'Cause it's another day journey, and I'm glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. It's another day's journey, and I'm glad. I'm so glad to be with you. He woke me early this morning, and I'm glad. I'm so glad. I'm so glad, 'cause he woke me early this morning, and I'm glad. I'm so glad to fellowship with you.
Before we have the welcome by Mayor Jock Gilbert, let me give you a little family history from Chris Anderson. I lived with my grandmother growing up for 4 years in high school. So I had the opportunity every evening when I get off the bus to run into the house and look for my grandmother. If she's not right there in the living room, I would say, "Mama!" And she'll say, "Hoo-hoo." When I heard that, "Hoo-hoo," I knew that my grandmother was okay and that I was going to be okay because she was there when I came off the bus. We don't have that too much nowadays, but think about it. We all are here for our own family history, and remembering those who was before us, what a blessing. So at this time, if Mayor Jock Gilbert will come forward, please, and give us a brief welcome. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. Angela, you didn't tell me I was going to welcome, but that's okay. Because usually I do welcome in Apex, North Carolina, Peak of Good Living, but Fuquay is Apex today. All right, I want y'all to know that. So on behalf of everyone in Fuquay and Apex, welcome to this amazing event. I will say for Black history, as was mentioned, has been mentioned many times before, Black history is American history, and we must recognize that. And I just want to thank, round of applause, absolutely. Yes. And I just want to thank the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for putting this event on, for hosting it. And I know we're going to hear from some amazing people today. This gentleman right here is pretty funny. I met him earlier today. Wow, I got to have him to Apex and entertain, so it's going to be great. But again, thank you for coming out this evening. I know for Friday night, this is, a family night for many people, and they do other things, but this is important that you're here. And it means a lot to everyone in here, for me. And just to give you a brief story about myself, growing up in Apex, I would have never thought we would celebrate Black history because we just never did. And to be elected as the first Black mayor of Apex and stand here before you today is something special to me and my family. So celebrating those that came before us allowed me this opportunity to stand here and hold this microphone and welcome you. So thank you so much for your obligation, your commitment tonight. And let's make this a fun event and learn at the same time. God bless you.
See, the mayor done said I'm gonna be funny, and now I feel like I gotta crack a joke, and I don't know any jokes. See, y'all just laugh now. Laugh on y'all. But no, just like I said, my name is Jay Dwayne Garnett, and I started an organization in 2017 called Love is Apparel. And I didn't realize how much of it was a need until I applied that need to my life when we started talking about value education. A lot of times we tend to shift blame. You know how we do. Well, if this wouldn't have happened, if that wouldn't have happened, sometimes no one is wrong. Sometimes it is a perfectly written document. Sometimes things are just not going to plan, not because of error of man, but sometimes it's our values. If no one lets us know the things that we value, we don't understand how we see ourselves, others, and the decisions that we make. I remember growing up, we would say things like, I'm from Georgia. And anybody from Georgia in here?
Yes.
Yes! So now I can tell people how it's really pronounced. Every time somebody say they're from Georgia, we're like, no, you're not. Now, if they say they're from Georgia, we're like, yeah, that's it. Because it's Georgia. It ain't no Georgia, but we say it so y'all will understand. So thank you, my Georgia sister. But one of the things that we used to say a lot of times is, put on some clothes, so-and-so is coming over. But why do we say put on clothes? Because so-and-so is coming over. If we didn't trust so-and-so coming over, so-and-so shouldn't have come over. We don't think about it, right? Or we'll say, you don't want to be out in the sun too long, you don't want to get too dark. What's wrong with being too dark? No, we say these things and we don't think about them, right? Or when it comes to things that we really like and we say they're totally different, like if somebody dresses well, we say that's a bad dress, but the dress is not bad. I mean, bad is good, right? So it's these things that we value, and we don't realize that they influence the way we communicate with one another. They influence the way that we interact, but most of the time, they influence the way that we see ourselves. If you ask the average person to stand up right now and say, tell us a little bit about yourself, they will tell you everything that they do for other people, but not who they are. Because we shape who we are based on experiences that we have. But who are you? And a lot of us struggle with answering that question. Not what you do, but who are you? I used to be a part of a performing arts group called, not Love is a Parable, it was actually called Creative Impressions, that is doing greater things than what we did. We just travel up and down the Mason-Dixon line, but them jokers now are going overseas. And I'm trying to figure out how I can, be a trans teenager, because I want to go overseas with them because I want to say I'm 14. And so they're doing a lot of great things. And there was one song that we used to sing, and it's in Swahili, and it goes, Chimu, Chimani, Buli Butwalina Etsiko, Omuchimango, Ukulumanye, Buli Butwalina Etsiko. And what that song told us is, one thing that we know is that everybody has a seed to sow. Let your heart of hearts take you down the road, because everyone has a seed to sow. And so when you think about that, it keeps you conscious of the people that you pass each and every day. Every time you encounter a person, you encounter a seed. But what are you doing with that seed? If you let your heart of hearts lead you down the road, you will deposit that seed. And unfortunately, we have allowed a negative narrative to reshape the way that we look at Black history, let alone local history. We say, let's not talk about that. But if we don't talk about it, we don't know who we are. And it's not just a local Black history, it's our local history that includes the Blacks in the narrative. There's a reason why your name is your name. There's a reason why that street is named the way it is. I remember when I was charged, because I was with Angie in the first Finding Patience, and she said, I need you to do character development. And I researched the Grizzlies. And what I was most fascinated about the Grisby family was not necessarily Grisby, even though he's from Newberry, South Carolina, so I was like, that's pretty dope. But he married into a family of women Black women who are holding their own at a time where they shouldn't. It just didn't make sense. And then I started realizing Grigsby Avenue not only named after him, but Stinson is named after his family. So we drive down roads every day and we never stop to say, okay, why is that street named that street? A lot of times it has something to do with your local history. But if you don't let your heart of hearts take you down the road, you're just saying, I need to get down 55. Not I need to drive down where the ancestors have laid a foundation for us to be here today. We will say, yes, I love the fact that we have a Walmart in a certain mile radius, but who cleared that land for it to be a Walmart there? The fact that we are still having seasons of first lets you know that local Black history is equally important and it is part of our history. The fact that we're celebrating that the mayor was the first Black mayor, like it's a good thing. We should have been had it. He should have been the 10th Black mayor. He should have been the 20th Black mayor. He lives in a town that's a peak of good living, but he still has to talk about we haven't peaked. A success where we can look at Blacks as equal and part of the human tapestry. We're missing points because we are forgetting to allow our hearts to lead us. If it's painful, good, sit with it. Let it tell you something. If it's painful for you to hear, imagine what it is for someone to go through it. And I'm gonna let you know a little trick. This is for our non-Blacks or our non-Black adjacents. I'm gonna let you know a little Black history fact. We know when it's a little something else in you anyway. Am I lying? Queen Elizabeth, I'm gonna use her because I ain't gonna mess with y'all. We looked at that fro and we said, Yeah, because she 8 generations removed from Queen Charlotte, who was a Black woman. That's why that fro held up so good. We know when something is in a person. Like, we'll look at them and say, you sure? Because the thing about it is we know family. And no matter what happened, one thing that is taught through local history and it now became a national phenomenon, because of our experiences, we know how to identify family. So we can tell when part of us exists in somebody else. Even when you can't recognize, we're like, I don't know. And most of the time we'll say something like, okay. That's a parent, that's a dad, okay. But when we miss out on local history, we're missing out on the greatest parts of us. And one thing that we must know is that everybody has a seed to sow. And you may have been tending to a garden that hasn't been yielding the right fruit because you didn't pay attention to the other seeds that were present. I didn't realize this until I talked to one of the local residents about farming. I didn't know that there were different seasons and different crops. I like collard greens all seasons. I didn't know it was a particular season for it to come. So imagine sowing the wrong seed in the wrong season and waiting on it to yield, but it's not its time. So imagine all the seeds of silence that were sowed and they're of no avail because it keeps coming back up. Now we're at a place now where we can say something and participate in it. So you're not just going to a Black history event, you are coming to your history event. Because you are a part of it, and you best believe we talk about everybody's history during Black history because we understand it. We just want to tell the whole story, not half of the story, not portions of the story. And most importantly, we realize that every seed that was sown will yield some type of harvest. Sometimes the harvest will look like how we look today. Black and brown people coming together for one common thing. But if you don't let your heart lead you, you will miss beautiful opportunities like this. So I got a question. What seed are you planting? And what seed are you hoping to reap? What seed are you planting? And what seed are you hoping to reap today? I hope that you will plant a seed to let somebody else get to know you. But I hope you also reap knowing somebody else. I sat at the table today and they were like, Jay, you seem to know everybody. Because I help everybody. And I don't sit around counting how many people I helped. I just make sure that I sow seeds of love so that when I walk into a room, I reap love. And truth doesn't need any defending, guys. If you have sown good in your life, you don't have to worry about what something negative will be said about you, because the field of that's not him will come up. So sow good and let your heart of hearts lead you down the road, and think about, if I'm driving down this road, who made it possible? Who did it? You know? And I joke all the time because I tell them I'm like 1/16th Mormon. So I'm like the great grandson of Elijah Abel. I'm joking. But if I say that I value my brothers and sisters who are part of the LDS faith, I also value their history. And I value the seeds that were sown. And I value my ancestors who are also part of that too. We can change a lot of narratives if we open our mouths and embrace one another. So let your heart of hearts lead you down the road. Everybody got a seed to sow. And I love you, wonderful people. All right.
All right, let's give another hand clap for Jay. He did an amazing job. Michael Crichton, an American author, screenwriter, once said, if you don't know your history, you don't know anything. You are a leaf that doesn't know that it is part of a tree. Knowing your family history is one of the most powerful and riveting experiences for mankind. However, for many Black Americans, our history is unknown, lost, or hidden due to a myriad of reasons. But today, I challenge my sisters and my brothers to search, to dig, and to uncover their family history like a person who is searching for lost treasures on a beach, or like a fisherman searching for pearls in oysters. Your family history is part of your story and can help shape your future. To be honest, most of our history involves some unpleasant stories, such as rape, slavery, incest, and more. There are certain things that you may uncover that may make you laugh or even shed a tear. But bear in mind that it's essential for you to know your history so that you can plan your life's pivots. Whatever information that you find out about your family history, allow it to educate you and also to empower you, but don't allow it to make you bitter. The family history that we view as secrets can serve as sanctuaries of healing. From those secrets, we now know what generational curses or strongholds to pray for, and commanded not to transcend in your current generation also and future generations. Knowing our family history allows us to see the greatness of our ancestors, some serving as kings, queens, statesmen, guardsmen, doctors, lawyers, scientists, and business owners. And let's not forget some serve as nannies, butlers, farmers, and slaves. Regardless of the titles, we can focus on the strengths and also the challenges and how they overcame and how they prevailed. Knowing your family histories allow you to highlight the God-given talents of your ancestors. And you are able to look at your ancestors and see the successes and also the progressions that they have made. A few weeks ago, I learned that my father was one of the greatest cross-country runners at Tri-State University in Angola, Indiana. I knew my dad was a great runner, but I did not realize his greatness. He broke records and was recruited to run cross-country at this predominantly white school in Angola, Indiana. I even talked to a gentleman as recently as last week, and he told me, your father was always featured in the newspaper. He broke records. But he also stated something to me. He said, I want to share something, and I do not want you to get offended. He said, your father was one of the best runners, best black runners at that university. He said that you did not see black runners running cross country, but most of them ran just quick runs in track. I told him, I said, you did not offend me at all. He said, I wish I had the opportunity to run with your father. He was sharing that history with me. He said, if I had the opportunity to run with your father, we would have ranked the number 3 seed in the nation. Just finding out that bit of history caused me to stop and reflect that I had my own version of Michael Jordan amongst men. Now that same gentleman and also my dad's former coach, we are working to get him inducted into the Hall of Fame. My dad exhibited attributes such as discipline, determination, resiliency, strength, and passion, just to name a few. And guess what? I now possess those similar attributes. Knowing one family's history can tell us that great-grandmother and great-great-grandfather died of heart disease, diabetes, or what some may say in the black family, sugar. And now we should know how to take better care of our bodies to prevent those diseases. Knowing your family history is imperative because you need to know that your great-grandfather may have dealt with anger issues or alcoholism. And now it provides you with the knowledge on what you should pray for, and also to bring awareness to your current generation and also future generations to come, to present or to prevent these behaviors from resurfacing through your bloodline. Knowing your family history is knowing that great-grandmother only had a 6th grade education, but she made things happen for the family. But there will be no high school dropouts in this generation and also future generations. And even though great-grandmother made it happen, realizing that great-grandmother died an early death because of stress. Knowing your family history will allow you to build a stronger generation. Knowing your family history will allow you to know that you are a leaf that is part of a tree versus a leaf that doesn't know that it is part of a tree. And despite our grim past of slavery, racism, and oppression, and the words of Shirley Chisholm, you don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas. And this comes by learning your family history. Learn your history. Be the change and be a beacon of hope for someone else. Thank you.
I have a question for you right now. Have your mind and your heart, which should be connected to each other, gotten enlightened tonight? Do you feel as though you're learning something very special, not only about family history, but about yourself? Thank you very much. I'm getting older, so excuse me when I put on my wonderful glasses. Even though I'm Michael Jordan's brother, I still wear my glasses. Before I say anything about Desi, Lenora, and Jay Dwayne, I want you both to know that in my heart, I know that you're my brother and sister. And the way you all presented your message here tonight, it was heartfelt, and I know you did because you love us. Thank you very much. I met Mr. Desi L. Campbell today, and he was walking in the Relief Society room, and I saw his picture earlier this week. I said, I need to meet Desi before I get a chance to speak and talk about him. I need to meet this guy. So the Lord said, Chris, don't you worry about it. When you go down the hallway, he's going to be coming out the door, and you're going to see him. So I came out that door and said, hey, Desi, how you doing, man? He said, hello, how you doing? I said, I am Chris Anderson, man, how you doing? And man, after I had said it that way, Desi opened up and said, good to see you too, man. Good to see you. I said, I am now your good friend, Chris Anderson. He said, that's all right with me. This man that's coming up, he's done a lot in genealogy. Back in the back, there's a lot of displays back there that will show you all the work that he's done over the years. He had one book right there with a nice cover on it. It said the McNeil story. And I said, how did you get this book all put together? Nice with the pictures and all the different paragraphs. Didn't know who it is. He said, Chris, you got to do all the work. But you go to Amazon and put all that thing in there. Oh, Chris, they can help you put that book together. You can pick out the cover that you want. And man, there it is. You will have books that you can order. Online, Amazon. Am I right, Nancy? So, I wanted to bring him up this way with a little lightheartedness, but at the same time, I'm so glad that I had the opportunity to meet you today. Mr. Desi Campbell will present a few awards after he speaks tonight. He'll have a chance to do that. He's also going to show us a small documentary of the work that he's doing with family history. And at this time, he'll be sharing with us his family story and information about displays and what he is working on now and into the future. Mr. Desi Campbell, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. I'm not sure what I could say after these two young people got up here and spoke. I can just sit down and chill. However, I have to do what I have to do. I don't consider myself a public speaker. However, I am here and I am just really honored. Now, I'm up in age, so I have to write things down. So let me pull up my phone because I don't remember. I can't remember short-term thing, but I can remember who died in 1949. Yes, I remember that. And I wasn't even there. But I am honored to be here on tonight, give honor to the LDS Church here in Fuquay. I kept saying Holly Springs, but Fuquay. And to this young lady that's standing beside me. Now, I've only met her once. We talked on the phone for the last, 4 months, put this together, and we have a great relationship. I met her through Doris. I know she's in here somewhere. Yeah, there she goes, right? And I actually just met her a few months ago through Facebook. Because if you're my friend on Facebook, I put everything on Facebook. Whatever I find in my family history or something, I put it on Facebook. And because I put it on Facebook, if it's a picture, I have well over 3,000 people that are actually in my Facebook group. Not only that, I have about 5,000 friends. I can't even accept any more friends. But anyway, I am just glad to be here. Today was phenomenal. I came to the luncheon and I'm done. I'm trying not to cry. There was a lady still up here and cried the whole time she spoke, and I started crying with her. So I'm gonna try not to cry, but I thank the LDS Church for inviting us. I thank Doris for a lot of those pictures you see back there is because of Doris. Yes, because of Doris. She put those things out there, and she sent me about 1,000 emails. I could not keep up. I said, you got to slow down. So I grabbed them and I put all that stuff together, and all the things you see in the back, I put together, me and one of my cousins. I call it my ride or die, because I've had 3 of these events. This is the 3rd one, and every event she's been there with me in my house putting together those boards. And so I have about, maybe 125, 30 boards that are all housed in the Harney County African American Heritage Center. Did you know that there was one in Harney County? Did y'all know that? Well, now you know. So there is a Harney County African American Heritage Center that I started about 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, this year will be 4 years. And we are excited about the things that we're doing in Harnett, Wake, Johnston, all those counties around us. I have researched probably just about every family there is in those counties, and I've been to just about every graveyard there is, and I'm not scared. There's only one graveyard I'm scared of in Bladen County, and I won't tell you why, but I will never go there again. A lot of people say, how do you have time to do all this stuff? I don't know. I believe that I'm the chosen one in my family, because that my mother does not understand, because I work a full-time job. I am a school teacher. I have a copy business, a print business. I do a lot of things, but my baby is that family history, okay? That's what I do. And I'm excited to be here to present to you tonight. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit of my story. My parents grew up in Harney County. I grew up partly in Washington, D.C. My parents moved back to North Carolina to a little place called Zebulon in 1980. I better not tell that, but I was 14 years old at that time. And I hated Zebulon because it was country. So I didn't really want to be in Zebulon. However, I was there. We befriended people that became like family. Our neighbors. We were tight. I mean, we were very tight. Everybody thought that we were really cousins. Well, 30 years later, and I mean 30 years later, a few of them took the DNA test, and guess what? They were my cousins for real. I don't have a clue how, but they are my cousins. And as I went to college and started meeting people, even trying to court, as the old people would say, and found out all these people are my cousins, I said, something ain't adding up here. So I started researching, I started asking questions, and my dad would always come to Harney County and go to funerals, and I always wanted to go. My mama said, why do you want to go to a funeral? I don't know, but I want to go. But he would never let me go, so I never really got to know a lot of his family, the older ones. Well, when I got grown, I started traveling to Harney County once a month to meet with the older people. If you want to know information, you gotta meet with the older people. They started telling me all kind of stuff. And I learned a lot about my family, and from that, I became the family historian. Could you give me that little book right there? In the Harney County book. So I became the family historian, and I've been working on that since the 90s. I never knew that it would get this far. I never imagined. But I am so excited about these type events to try to help people. So I was on WRAL a couple of weeks ago, and the guy, he don't know, he prophesied to me. I can't remember his name. Smith, I think who was the guy? Who? Ken Smith. He prophesied. He may not know. Tell your friend he prophesied to you. He said Campbell has been going all around North Carolina doing these types of events. Well, I hadn't done but one. So I was like, that's a good idea. This helps us to get our family history. All right, so I've been putting these things together. I took the DNA test, and I know it's a lot of the LDS church people are here. Guess where I'm going next week? I'm going to Utah to Roots Tech. Yes. I'm so excited about it. This is my third year going to Roots Tech, and it's I have no words to explain Roots Tech. Millions, in my opinion, people just there doing the same thing. And I go there and they give you this little app. You sign up on the app and you say, find your cousins. And I have about 300 or 400 cousins that are actually at this event, but I don't know who they are. I know some of them, but not all of them. So in my research, about 8 years ago, I got an email from a young lady from Utah, and she said, you are my cousin. I said, okay. She said, you and a few of your cousins match with some of our cousins. I said, okay. I emailed her back, and we went back and forth. So after a while, I said, do you know I'm African American? And she said, yes, I knew what you was when I sent you the email. I said, oh yes, she's definitely my cousin. Yes, definitely my cousin. So from that grew a relationship of all these people in Utah, and they connected that we have the same fifth great grandmother that was born in 1775 in Virginia, made her way to North Carolina, and had 14 children. Yeah, 14. Her parents, according to the 1880 census, were born in Africa. From that, we started getting these DNA matches, these 100% DNA matches to Nigeria and the Igbo tribe. That was last year around this same time. We connected with them. They invited us to a festival in Brunswick, Georgia. 93 of my family members, black, white, all of us, went to Georgia, or some of us went to Georgia, and received a certificate into the Igbo tribe. My new Igbo name is Abezi. I don't remember what it stands for. And I'm not the only one in the family that can say my name. I chose a simple name, so I knew I wasn't going to remember it. However, we went down last year. We're going to take some more this year, and hopefully they're going to be inducted as well. But I want to just go briefly so we can move out of here quickly. This is the McNeil story. This is like the best book I've ever written. I've written 16 books. I've written 16 books. This is my favorite. Why? Because this is 463 pages of my fifth great grandmother, Jeannie McLean. Okay, so in this book is we're actually updating this book this year, so it's probably going to about 500 or 600 pages. Because of DNA, we have so many more DNA matches, and we figured out how they're connected. And there are about 200 of us that we know exactly how they're connected to Joe and Jenny. My other book is the Harnett County African American Experience. In this book are the cemeteries, the African American churches, about 40 family histories, pictures of the old Rosenwald schools, and a couple of other things that have to do with African American history. Well, my task here in Fuquay and in Holly Springs and Apex is to put a book like this together called Southern Wake County African American Experience. I have gathered all of that information, just got to put it together. Sometime in April, we will have that book signing sometime up here somewhere, and we will let you know. But if you have pictures, if you have information, you can get it to me. I have some flyers back there with my information on it. I would be glad to have you put your information in this book. I'm ready to play the video. All right, so I'm going to play this video. Because I don't like to talk in front of people. I don't know why. I'm a school teacher. I don't understand why I don't like to talk in front of people. However, this video, it's because of Angie that you see this video, it's really her fault. So when I met Angie, she don't know she prophesied to me as well. I met Angie on the phone. We talked, and I told her my story, about how we found our fifth great grandparent and all that stuff. And she told me about her play and all of that stuff. And she told me, you need to write a song. I said, I haven't written a song in years because I'm a musician, yes. And I promise you, the very next morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, I woke up with a song in my head. I was late for work trying to get this song together. But I got it together and I kept playing with it for about 2 or 3 weeks. I recorded myself singing it. I sent it to one of my friends and he put the music to it. So right now we're gonna try to put it as a soundtrack sometime in the next couple of months. But on the end of this video, don't judge me. I'm not a singer. However, I had to sing this song for the video. This is not the official video. This is just something I want to have out for Black History Month. All right, so I showed this video a couple of weeks ago to about 75 people online. It was phenomenal.
In Ibom, Ohafia, Nigeria, millennia ago. Situated in Igbo land, this region has been home to the Igbo people for generations. Ibom, Ohafia, lies in the state of Abia, one of 5 states comprising Igbo land. Our ancestors resided in Abia in the earliest 1700s, living in small farming towns and villages, striving for sustenance. Despite the hardships, they found joy in communal gatherings, feasting on staples like yams, beans, and rice, while preserving Igbo traditions passed down through generations. During this era, neighboring villages often clashed in wars, resulting in the capture of prisoners. These captives were then sold by town authorities to European traders, namely the Portuguese and British, who initiated the global slave trade involving the Igbo people and other African tribes. Unfortunately, almost all of their genealogy is verbal, and much of it was lost with the transatlantic slave trade. It's incredible to discover through DNA that you have Igbo ancestry, connecting you to the descendants of Joe and Jenny McLean. Their story, rooted in the Igbo tribe's history, sheds light on the harrowing journey of enslaved Africans from capture to arrival in Virginia around 1775. Jenny McLean's parents, likely captured while working in the fields, endured unimaginable hardships as they were transported to the Cave Temple complex in Erokwa, Nigeria. From there, they were forced onto brutal slave ships, enduring cramped and unsanitary conditions during the 6 to 8 week journey to Virginia. The Igbo tribe historically.
Well, this is not what I want, but I'm here. I'm not gonna keep complaining. All right, so basically this talks about how Joe and Jenny came from Virginia. They were born in Virginia and came to Harnett County. They were on the McLean Plantation, which was in Barbecue, which is on the western part of Harnett County. Joe and Jenny had 14 kids, as I said earlier. I come from their daughter, Sarah. Sarah married a man by the name of Sherd. We're assuming that's her husband. And the reason why we're assuming that's her husband because most of her children had a Sherd. We never find him in the census, but one of his sons is named Sherd B. Well, I kind of put 2 and 2 together because I found a slave by the name of Bacchus. Well, one of Sarah's sons disappeared between 1863 and 1870. We think that he was sold, well, we know he was probably sold to Alabama, which just so happened to be my 3rd great-grandfather. Never found him in the census with his wife. She had 13 kids. We found her, and all of their death certificates said Gabriel was the father. Well, to my surprise, after about 2 years of looking at the same family tree, all right, looking at the same family tree, this guy who was my second cousin, like, how is that possible? He had a Gabriel Bacchus born in 1820 in his tree. But what confused me was he was in Florida. Only to find out that was my Gabriel. So we assumed Gabriel was sold right during the war, because his last child was born in 1863. Gabriel was born, well, had those children, he left, he got married again, and had 4 more kids. I was able to get 3 DNA matches from them. That came up as my second cousin. That's pretty close. So we figured all that out. Gabriel had 13 siblings. But Gabriel married Caroline. Gabriel wasn't McNeil, but he came from McLean. Y'all work with me. The preacher said, y'all work with me, I'm gonna bless you. Gabriel wasn't McNeil, but his grandparents were McLean. Gabriel married Caroline McLean, whose grandparents were Jim and Lucy. So Gabriel's wife, grandparents is Jim and Lucy. Gabriel's grandparents are Joe and Jenny. Well, after a while, we figured out that Joe or Jenny or Jim or Lucy are probably siblings. Yeah, it is what it is. That's my line, right? It is what it is. The reason why is because our cousins that live in Utah, they come from Joe and Jenny. Well, why are they matching with people from Jim and Lucy? Don't add up. So we keep working with the DNA. We figured out that there has to be a connection somewhere in there. So Caroline, Gabriel, they have 13 kids. They have Hepsi, Amanda McNeil, and they have Penny, Jane McNeil. I'm calling them 2 out for a reason. Well, Penny has a son by the name of John David Ray. Hepsi, Hepsi has a daughter named Mary Jane McLean. Well, as I was doing my research, I found out that I'm not really a Campbell. I said, how is that possible? An old man told me that he was 96 years old. He told me that. I'm not really, he said, you are Ray. I said, now, you what? So I didn't believe him. Well, I did believe him because I know he wouldn't tell me a lie. However, when I told my family that, they gave me the business. Yes, they did. Well, me with my inquisitive self, I went and checked it out for myself. And I looked, and when my grandfather was born, Jim Campbell was born in 1900. His mother had him in 1900, but she married a Campbell in 1905. So guess what happened to him? Somebody tell me. Don't everybody raise their hand at the same time. His name changed from McLean, because that was probably his name, because that was her name, to what? Campbell. So we always thought we were Campbells. Well, come to find out we're not Campbells. But the funny part is we're not Campbells, but we're still related to the Campbells. I said, this ain't adding up either. Well, bottom line was my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather, their mothers were sisters. That's why I kind of, So with the, who didn't laugh like that? Anyway, with the DNA, it was so, I got my sister tested, I got my niece, my mom, my bunch of my cousins, a whole lot of taking the test. So me and the guys, me and they took the test, we have a lot of McNeil from my granddaddy's side. The funny part is, my granddaddy's wife was a McNeil. But they weren't related as far as I know. And so my first cousins and my sister, they get a lot of that from my grandmother's side. So DNA is kind of interesting, and it is random. So when you're taking a DNA test, you know, your siblings may not have the same, I'm just throwing this in, may not have the same, some of the same matches that you have. So, you know, don't be thinking that it's somebody else's the daddy. That's not necessarily true. It's just that DNA is random. So I can go back about 7 generations on my family now. Now that we have the Igbo or Igbo, we can go back a little further. So now we went from 2 DNA matches to the Igbo tribe. Now we're up to 50, which is wonderful. So a lot of them are moving to America and taking the test. So if you haven't taken the DNA test, please do, and let me throw this plug in there. If you take the DNA test, don't be mad if you find out some foolishness. It is what it is. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. I'm just excited about being here, I really am. I'm excited about the work that I believe I've been commissioned to do. So at this time, every time I try to do a Black History event each year, sometimes we do it during Juneteenth, we like to recognize people in the community that have made a significant impact in the African American community. So tonight, I think we have 4. I'm not sure if she's here. Is Patricia Smith here? So tonight, we're going to present this award. Where's Doris? We're going to present this to Doris. Doris introduced me to Patricia a couple of months ago. And let me throw another little thing in about me. And my friends think I'm crazy. I am an obituary fanatic. Okay? I have about 5,000 or 6,000 physical copies of obituaries. So she invited me to her house. Just stand right there. She invited me to her house, and she pulled out the obituaries, and I thought I was in heaven. So a lot of the pictures, stand right here. Doris, stand right here. Work with me. A lot of the pictures you see back there from WAP, the WAP community, and then those obituaries over there on the other side, those came from her. So we wanted to present her. Okay, great. We wanted to present this to Ms. Patricia Smith, I can't see her, for making and preserving local Black History 2024, the African American experience. Thank you so much. Staying right there. So we wanted to reach out to some people that may have been from this area that are doing great things. So this guy, Mr. Aaron Thomas, who was on WRL, y'all know that, y'all know who that is, right? He's always the one out in the street. And I was like, why are you out in the rain? And he always be the one in the rain. So tonight we want to present this award to you for making a significant impact in the African American community in telecommunications.
You don't have to see him, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Sugar Bob.
And I'm sure she's not here, but I'm gonna tell this story about Miss Adams. We never met Miss Adams. We were told to meet her for lunch, and Doris, what's the name of that place she told us to meet her at? I can't, whatever restaurant, she told us it was behind Smithfield's on 421. So we went behind Smithfield's and we didn't see no restaurant. So whatever the name of the restaurant was off of 40, not too far, and still in Garner. So that's when me and Doris went. We waited and we waited and we waited. And so after a while, we finally got her on the phone and we asked her what happened. She said, well, I sat there for hours waiting for you. Come to find out, whatever restaurant that she was at, she called it, or they called it the same name as this restaurant out there, and we were confused. And it's my fault. But I wanted to make sure she get this award because she has a lot of history in her from the Fuquay area, and that's Miss Helen Adams. So I asked Doris to come. And since Doris is here, so I I met Doris, well, I think we went out to lunch about 2 months ago when I was tracked out. And we went out to lunch, and that's the first time we physically met, me, her, and Angie. But talking to her on the phone, she started, I told y'all she started sending all the emails and texts. I really couldn't keep up. However, she is a wealth of information from this area. And if it wasn't for her, a lot of information I wouldn't have. So I wanted her to have this award on tonight. All right, so that is the awards. We have the displays in the back. We also have some very good chocolate chip cookies.
Okay, one sec, we're gonna do something else really quick.
Would you like to present this one? I'll let Chris present this.
Y'all hear that song? Hold up, wait a minute. All the work that you've done over the years and continue to do now, we want you to know that you also need to be recognized for your work. And we love you, man. You're doing a lot of good things. Keep doing it. But we want you to have this. It says, Black History Award to Desi Campbell for dedication to discovering family history 2024.
Thank you so much, Angie. You got me. That's all right. Thank you, and thank you again. Again, this is not the end. This is not the end. I believe this is a great partnership between my organizations and the LDS Church. That's prophecy, y'all work. And because we're working together to try to preserve African American history, everybody's history. So we're going to work together. I promise you I will do the best I can to live up to the expectations of making sure our history, that means everybody, history is preserved. Amen? Amen. Thank you.
All I can say is this has been a wonderful evening for all of us, and I have been highly enlightened, and I really feel the spirit of family history work, hearing from these wonderful speakers tonight. We will have some closing remarks by President Ray Runyon. He's the state president of the Raleigh South State of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. After he finishes his remarks, we will have a wonderful closing prayer from George Kimball, who we heard that beautiful song from earlier. And after that, you will have an opportunity to walk through the back and view all those wonderful displays, but also to go to the High Council room that I told you about earlier, where there will be family history consultants waiting for you if you want to do some family history for yourself. Sounds good? President Runyon?
Thank you, Chris. Chris Anderson served for a number of years as a bishop in one of our congregations here, and so it's hard for me to call him Chris. It's Bishop A. The young men and young women always call him Bishop A and talk about his basketball skills. But it's an honor for me to be here tonight. As a minister in our church, I have opportunities to speak. And so when the agenda was being put together, I said, I'll take a few minutes. I now kind of wish I hadn't, because these speakers have been so wonderful. Mayor Gilbert, thank you for being here. Lenora, Desi, Jim Dwayne. I wish I could speak to my congregations like you have. But as I listened to you, I was reminded that we all have callings, things that I feel God has given us to do here on the earth. And as I listened to these wonderful speakers, I feel they have a calling, and they are helping each of us come closer to God and come closer to our families. As I was thinking about this meeting tonight, I found a quote that I think applies. It says, stories have to be told or they die. And when they die, we can't remember who we are or why we are here. There is such power that comes with our family histories, and they're different. We have different family histories. I carry around an old black briefcase, and it's not because it's a nice or fancy briefcase, it's because it was my grandfather's briefcase. If you want to break into my phone, all you have to do is find my other grandfather's birthday, because that's the code I use. Their lives, and they're gone now, but their impact has been so powerful. And I feel that as Desi talks about, he's motivated by knowing, Desi, I'd have to see a diagram of all the ties with the family would be absolutely amazing. But the power that you have taught us that comes with family is so motivating. And then as Jay Dwayne taught us, we share a lot of our histories. Meaning I can't just focus on mine, there's others that I benefit by knowing your history. So I'm grateful, so grateful to be able to be here with you for this event, the planning that's happened, and those who have prepared and have uplifted us. And my hope and prayer is that we can each learn from that and now do something that will help us come closer to Him and to God. So thank you very much.